to me. It means, the first concept of a man in the sky. Well, I kicked that one a few years ago.
Picture this. You write a song straight from your soul. It becomes a massive hit. Millions love it. Then someone drags you to court. They say you stole it. But here's the twist. You didn't even realize you did it. And the nightmare that follows, it gets so much darker than anyone could imagine. This is the story of George Harrison, the quiet Beatle, the spiritual one, and how one song destroyed his trust in everything. The world is in shock. The Beatles, the biggest band on planet Earth, just split up.
Do you think the Beatles are finished?
No, I don't.
Why not?
They'll never be finished. They're too good to ever finish.
Fans everywhere are asking the same question. What happens now? Will they ever make music again? George Harrison answers first. He releases a solo track that's unlike anything the Beatles ever did. A spiritual masterpiece, a song that blends Western pop with Eastern mysticism. The track explodes, #1 across the globe. Critics call it a transcendent anthem. Harrison wanted to bring spirituality to the mainstream.
It's better to be an outspoken atheist than a hypocrite. And after all my life, I've been brought up,
Make God accessible to everyone, he said. For a brief moment, George Harrison is on top of the world, but that moment doesn't last. Someone notices something odd. The melody sounds familiar. Rewind to 1963. A girl group called the Chiffons released a catchy pop song.
He's so fine. Wish she were mine.
Different vibe, different era, different lyrics entirely. But the melody, almost identical. When you play them side by side, the resemblance is impossible to ignore. The notes line up, the rhythm matches, the musical structure nearly the same. Now the question everyone's asking, did George Harrison actually steal this song? February 1971. The lawsuit drops. The company that owns the rights to the Chiffons track files against Harrison. They want their money. They want justice. Harrison tries to settle. Negotiations drag on for years. He even attempts to buy the rights outright. If he owns it, the problem goes away, right? Wrong. No deal gets done. 5 years later, the case finally hits court. Harrison shows up with his guitar. He's forced to explain his creative process in front of lawyers and judges. How do you write a song, George? It's an impossible question. Every song is different. Inspiration strikes in mysterious ways. Music experts testify. They break down both tracks note by note. Chord progressions, melodic patterns, rhythmic structure. The evidence is damning. Not only are the chords identical, but the melody on top matches too. And it doesn't just happen once, it repeats 4 times in exactly the same way. Even Harrison's own producer allegedly admitted they were basically the same song. Here's where it gets interesting. Harrison doesn't deny the similarity, he agrees the songs do sound alike, but, and this is crucial, he swears it wasn't intentional. He writes in his memoir later that melodies flow through him like dreams. He had no conscious awareness of the similarity when he wrote his track. The judge listens, he considers the evidence, and then he drops a bombshell verdict: subconscious plagiarism. Even the judge admits he likes both versions. Harrison's lawyer jumps on this. Wait, you said they're the same song? The judge clarifies, I like the same song with 2 different sets of words. The ruling changes everything. You can be guilty of stealing something you didn't even know you stole. Your subconscious mind can betray you. The music world reacts with shock. Artists everywhere realize they're now legally responsible for every melody floating around in their heads. But wait. The story takes a sinister turn. Right in the middle of this legal nightmare, something bizarre happens. The rights to the original song get sold. And guess who buys them? Alan Klein. Who's Alan Klein? Oh, just George Harrison's own manager. Let that sink in. The man who managed the Beatles. The man who sat next to Harrison during legal strategy sessions. The guy who knew every detail of the case, every weakness, every fear. He suddenly switches sides and buys the very song they're fighting over. Imagine the betrayal. You're sitting with your manager, sharing your deepest concerns about the lawsuit. You trust this person completely. Next thing you know, he's bought the rights and is now sitting across from you in court. He knows everything. Your strategy, your vulnerabilities. All your cards are on the table. Klein wasn't interested in settling. He pushed for maximum damage. Harrison later described it as one of the most stressful, difficult periods of his life. The court eventually noticed Klein's shady behavior. They reduced the penalty because Klein violated his fiduciary duty, using confidential information against his own client. Harrison was ordered to pay about $587,000. Ironically, the exact amount Klein had paid for the song. Harrison got the rights to the original track in the end, but the damage was permanent. From that day forward, George Harrison struggled with trust. He questioned the music industry. He questioned people around him. Worst of all, he questioned his own creativity. The realization haunted him. A song from your heart can still be considered theft. Your own artistic instincts might be working against you. This was the quiet Beatle, the spiritual one, the guy who meditated while the others chased fame. Now he had a courtroom scar he couldn't shake. But here's the redemption arc. Harrison releases another track, this time mocking the entire absurd situation. The music video is playful, self-aware, it winks at the legal circus. There's even a cameo from a Monty Python member, but beneath the humour, it was therapy, a way to process the frustration of being misunderstood, a middle finger to a system that punished him for being honest. This case didn't just affect George Harrison, it changed music forever. Musicians, lawyers, and songwriters still study this case today because it asked an impossible question. Can a song be original if it borrows unconsciously? The concept of subconscious plagiarism still haunts the industry. Flash forward to modern times. Robin Thicke and Farrell get hit with a massive lawsuit over their song. The estate of another legendary artist wins $7.3 million.
First, lawsuit claim, which was 2015. Ever since then, I've filmed every single studio session just so if ever that happens again, I'm like, well, here's...
Ed Sheeran ends up in court multiple times defending his work. His solution? Film every single songwriting session. Document everything. Create evidence trails. The ripples from Harrison's case are still being felt decades later. So here's what I want to know from you. You've heard the story. You know both songs sound remarkably similar. Was it theft? Or was it the most expensive coincidence in music history? Because here's the reality. We're all influenced by everything we hear. Our favourite songs, our childhood memories, random melodies we heard once and forgot about. Inspiration is inevitable. We're products of everything we consume. But copyright law doesn't care about inspiration. It doesn't care about your favourite artists or your creative influences. It only looks at the concrete elements, the melody, the structure, the arrangement. So where's the line? When does inspiration become infringement? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to hear what you think. And if this story fascinated you as much as it did me, smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into music history's wildest moments. Because trust me, there are so many more stories like this that nobody talks about.